Mr. Deputy Speaker, every youth matters. I've had the joy of serving in youth work for 25 years. For much of that time, I thought I understood our young friends, but I no longer think so. The gap of understanding has widened, and I don't like it. Their world is far more complex, shaped by pressures and influences my generation never had to face. I do not have children of my own, though I have many godchildren who I love very much, including some entrusted to me in their parents' will. Which means if anything happens to their parents, the children come to me. Their young lives remind me constantly of the responsibility we share for the next generation. The fight for the health of our youth is not for the faint-hearted. Singapore's total defense prepares us for attacks by air, land, sea, cyber, and even threats to our social cohesion. Yet one dangerous enemy is often overlooked: the battle for our youth's minds and hearts. If we fail to recognize this war, we cannot win it. Today, I will speak on 5 fronts that demand our urgent attention. First, vaping deterrence, an alarming trend amongst youth. Mr. Speaker, I thank MOH, MHA, and our partner agencies for their tireless efforts to clamp down on K-pods and vapes. I also thank Minister Ong Ye Kung and SMS Professor Faisal for addressing our recent PQs and for the enhanced penalties announced on 1st September. I also appreciate the balanced approach that allows those who step forward to seek help to do so without fear of punishment. At the same time, some youth workers have shared that uncertainty remains on whether they will be penalized if they step forward post 1st September, especially for probationers who cannot risk being marked for another offence. For those guiding our youths have questions, it will naturally be more difficult for our youths themselves to come forward with confidence. While swift enforcement is both necessary and commendable, we must also engage stakeholders working with youths so that implementation is smooth and effective. If our intent is restorative, which I believe it is, then our public communication must clearly reflect this. I've also heard of secondary school students who were involved in selling vapes to classmates before 1st September. Can the government clarify whether those who voluntarily surrender stock, not just the users, would also be supported if they step forward? Deterrence alone is not sufficient. In July this year, I was notified that a primary school boy in Dover was approached by an older youth to buy vapes, a shock to parents. National figures reinforce these fears. Students caught vaping jumped from 800 in 2022 to more than 3,100 each year between 2022 and 2024. Despite concerns raised in Parliament since 2021, the problem has worsened. Education and enforcement were attempted, yet numbers rose, and drug-laced K-pods slipped through. Before the ban, TikTok videos of youths vaping to music and dance went viral. Vaping became a flex, a social badge. It was normalized online, which partly explains its explosion in popularity. Our internet-savvy youths also find overseas articles and even AI chat responses portraying vaping as a safer alternative to cigarettes. On social media, it is marketed as stylish and modern, while Singapore's ban can seem to them as odd as our chewing gum prohibition. In the words of a 16-year-old, social media's voice is way louder than the schools. Meanwhile, predators continue to adapt. In the UK, youths are already moving from vapes to nicotine pouches and snus. Alarmingly, some websites even advertise direct delivery to Singapore in open defiance of our laws. As at 3 p.m. today, I'm happy to read that HSA and IMDA has since blocked the said website. I had raised a PQ this past Monday. As guardians of our young, we must stay one step ready and ahead of this battle. Mr. Deputy Speaker, many youths vape not only out of curiosity, but to cope with stress, boredom, relational and family conflict, or academic pressures. If we punish behaviors but ignore distress, we fail our children. That is why the battle against vaping cannot be separated from the broader fight for mental health, which I will return to later in my speech. Deputy Speaker, if vaping reflects one form of pressure, another that cuts even deeper into the lives of our young is bullying. whether in the classroom or online. Bullying in schools. Bullying, both physical and online, compounds the stresses our youths already face. Some victims may not even recognize they are being bullied, blaming themselves as not enough. I thank Education Minister Desmond Lee and his team for spearheading efforts to review MOE's approach to tackling bullying in schools. It is worth noting from NIE's survey that many students confide first in parents or friends rather than teachers. This is not a reflection of our teachers' commitment. They work tirelessly and often go beyond the classroom to support our students. Rather, it shows that prevention cannot rest on teachers alone. Parents and peers must also be equipped, so they know how to respond and whether the student is the bully or the victim. Several youths have shared that they hold back from reporting bullying, not because they do not care, but because they fear being labeled a snitch or a busybody. This silence allows harm to continue. A larger mindset shift is needed among students themselves to see speaking up not as a betrayal, but as courage for standing for what is right. I would like to ask, first, will there be standardized training for students, parents, and teachers on prevention and intervention? Second, can students report incidents safely and anonymously? If so, how? Third, are definitions of bullying versus mischief clear, and when must cases be escalated to parents or MOE? UNESCO's review shows that the most successful countries do not stop at passing clear laws prohibiting all forms of harm. They pair those laws with comprehensive interventions, age-appropriate equipping of students, training for every adult in the school environment, teachers, cleaners, and canteen staff, strong support systems for victims, and active engagement with parents. Finland's Kiva program is a strong example. It mobilizes pro-social classmates to stand with victims and empowers bystanders to intervene. Closer to home, upper primary students have shared that hearing peers talk about resolved bullying cases is especially powerful. It shows that they are not alone, that help is possible, and that change can happen. Given the dynamics of school bullying, peer involvement is not optional. It is essential to the restorative journey. Singapore should review our anti-bullying programs to glean lessons from such models and adopt a more holistic approach. One that not only addresses bullies, but supports victims and reshapes school culture to protect and defend every child. Mr. Deputy Speaker, if bullying exposes the vulnerabilities of school life, social media magnifies them. Social media today is not just a distraction, it has become a powerful force, shaping identity, relationships, and the mental and physical well-being of our young. It influences how they see themselves and how they connect with others, and how they measure their own worth. An IMH survey in September 2024 revealed that 1 in 3 youths aged 15 to 35 experience severe or extremely severe depression, anxiety, or stress. Among the key drivers are excessive social media use, body image concerns, and cyberbullying. Where a child once found refuge at home, bullying now follows them into their bedrooms through their phones. The home, once a sanctuary, has become another battlefield. This is why I continue to urge delaying social media exposure until at least age 16. Around the world, governments are moving. France now recommends a ban on social media under 15, and other EU countries are exploring similar steps. Could the government update us on its study of Australia's approach? A teen once told CNA that social media feels like drugs under the disguise of harmless entertainment. If vapes harm physically, unregulated social media harms mentally and emotionally. Anonymous comments and unrealistic portrayals of life shapes how our youth see themselves and others. Social psychology shows that even witnessing online bullying can cause guilt, anxiety, fear, and difficulty in forming a healthy sense of self. Our children live with this daily, even when they are not the direct targets. In this digital world, families remain in the first line of defense. conversations, clear limits, and healthier alternatives matters. Even amidst work pressures, a child told his parents, "I wish I was your phone," reflecting their longing for their time and attention. It speaks volumes about the need for adults to model well and lead at home. There are encouraging examples. In Portland, a mother who refused to give her 10-year-old a smartphone revived a household landline. Within months, 15 to 20 families followed. What seemed old-fashioned turned liberating. Children greeted parents before calling friends, memorized numbers, and listened attentively instead of scrolling while talking. It reminded me of my growing up years when picking up the phone meant looking forward to an engaging conversation where you can see the smiles and the frowns of the person across the line and the pause as a friend thought to respond before they spoke. A 14-year-old girl shared her gratitude for her mom who restricted her use of social media, having witnessed the constant comparison that left many of her peers anxious. We must not miss this point. Youth turn to social media for connection, entertainment, or relief from school and life pressures. That is why our approach to responsible use cannot be separated from supporting their mental health. Ironically, many youths turn to, as medicine, the social media. Often deepens the very struggle they try to escape. Just as Healthier SG takes a preventive approach to physical health, we need a national program that prepares youth for the mental and emotional impact of digital life in ways that resonates with them. When asked about school programs on responsible social media, a 16-year-old replied, "What your friends say is more effective than what the school says. We must change how we engage." Australia's mental health first aid, often described as CPR for emotional emergencies. It equips ordinary people, including youth, to recognize distress and offer immediate support until professional help is available. Singapore could adopt such an approach and enhance peer support. To protect our youth, I urge one decisive response: legislation to delay social media access until at least age 16. This requires robust age verification, strict time limits, and phone-free zones, among other measures we must explore. Policy may not change the human heart, but it can draw firm boundaries, reinforce social norms, and give parents the authority to say, "Not yet." Mr. Deputy Speaker, as we strengthen support for all youth, we must be especially mindful of those who carry sharper and double burdens, our youth with disabilities. I first met this autistic boy when he was 16 years old. I was in my 20s, which is about 100 years ago. Over the past 25 years, I've been very blessed by this friendship. He's taught me what kindness is, what compassion looks like, and what it means to have a childlike faith that never grows jaded. Through him, I learned to see persons with disabilities with new eyes. My hope is that you, too, will have the privilege to get to know persons with disabilities. Not the high and by kind of knowing, but the kind where you share meals, walk alongside them, and do life together. Youth with disabilities face sharper struggles and are 2 or 3 times more likely than their peers to experience mental health difficulties. Many retreat online in search of connection, only to encounter comparison stress, addiction, and deeper insecurity. In the end, they are left carrying a double stigma: disability and mental health. Gaps also remain in professional understanding. Often depression in youths with disabilities is dismissed as part of the disability. Autistic youth, for example, may have genuine mental health condition wrongly attributed solely to autism. When this happens, mental health needs go untreated and may worsen over time. The reality is stark. These youths fight 2 battles: disability and the disbelief that their sadness deserves help. Their caregivers too should shoulder immense caregiving responsibilities and stress. This constant strain directly affects their ward's well-being, deepening the mental health challenges they face. Having rectified the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities in 2013, Singapore must now ensure that our national mental health and well-being strategy is fully disability inclusive through the Enabling Master Plan. I was especially encouraged at this year's 60th National Day Parade. witnessing how intentional the entire parade was, including persons with disabilities, and with the sign language thoughtfully woven throughout the program. This marks the true progress of a nation, one that leaves no one behind. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I have spoken on four battle lines where protection must be strengthened. Let me close with the fifth front, my vision for our youth in Singapore. Mr. Deputy Speaker, when I look at our youth, I see courage and compassion. I see them caring for their families, honoring parents, loving siblings, and convinced that family is worth fighting for. I see young people brave enough to stand up for their friends and rooted in healthy relationships. I see youth who embrace education as a privilege, ending each day with purpose. I see young people celebrating the success of others and enjoying wholesome fun in music, sports, and nature, without coarse joking or degrading remarks. I see them whole in school, home, and community, skilled and committed to lifelong learning. I see them recognizing that they are part of Singapore's future, thriving in their talents, bold and creative in attempting new things. I see our young friends resilient and brave in uncertainty, building ideas, products, and services that help our communities flourish. Above all, I see youth who know that blessing the less fortunate is a privilege, and who treat resources and knowledge as a trust to be used generously in the service of others. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker, to preserve, defend, and protect our youth is to secure Singapore's future. Our strength lies not in reserves or capabilities alone, but in young Singaporeans who are tough-minded yet tender-hearted. Let us act wisely and decisively for our youth to lead our Singapore into a stronger future. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I support the motion.